All prisoners play on the weaknesses of their fellows, and the main weapon in such places is intimidation. It is not difficult to understand one simple truth here: either you become strong or you will be eaten. For this reason, many prisoners, whether they want or not, do sports right in their cells, without thinking about whether they have conditions for it or not. There are a lot of rumors surrounding prisoners' workouts. In free access you can read about the incredible records of Paul Wade, who pulled up 50 times on one arm. On the other hand, Cali Muscle, who weighted 120 kg of muscles after parole. Where do all these records come from, and how things really work in the places where you and I would definitely not want to get? In this video we will analyze the training of prisoners in conditions seemingly not intended for sports. Try to find out what results can actually be achieved when you are in jail. So enjoy my Ukrainian accent, and here we go. Of course, any idea we have about prisoners will be somewhat false, because there are so many of them and conditions will be different depending on the country, the year of construction, the purpose, the severity of the regime, and much more. For example, in 1998, California banned gyms because prisoners could use barbells and free weights for fights and self-defense. There were also many cases of attacks on guards, but to this day in some colonies there are still free weights that are carefully chained to the floor and walls, but even such gyms are quite rare these days. So the most realistic way to train in prison is with your own body weight. Besides that, sport is exactly what saved many prisoners and gave them new purpose of life. You have probably heard names like Cali Muscle, Chris Luera, or above-mentioned Paul Wade. All these people have said many times that sports at one point or another in their lives become a reason to move on, because the best way to forget about the past to find yourself in the present. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger visited correctional facilities to direct the aggression of prisoners in the right way and show them what can be achieved if you regularly do sports. By the way, in those years there was no ban on free weights and many prisoners could afford to fully engage in bodybuilding. Besides, it was, as it called, golden era. Bodybuilding was just getting momentum, and seeing Arnold everywhere immediately caught fire with the idea to build the same body. Of course, not many people knew about the use of medications at that time, and the information could only be obtained from magazines. Arnold believed that sports can heal better than any correctional institution, and that it is very important to give positive emotions, especially if you are in a place where everyone so initially mindset to the contrary. In 2004, a young kid named Ryan Ferguson went to Missouri State Prison. You can see how the boy looked on this photo. He was sentenced to 40 years. Looking ahead, I say that the parents of the boy fought for early release, which they managed to achieve in 2013. But then young Ryan realized that most likely he would have to serve all 40. One day a visit from his father changed his life, because he said the following phrase: "Son, I cannot help you. You must become stronger and smarter than anyone else in this place. That's the only way you will survive in these conditions, and me and my mom will take care of your release." These words had such strong impact on the guy that he immediately decided to pull himself together and began to train. By the way, the guy was lucky. In their prison there were a couple of block machines and enough free weights for training. According to this guy, when they were released into the common yard, the prisoners spent most of their time talking to each other, and out of 300 people, only 50 were seriously engaged in training. He noted that there were much more respect for those athletes who had achieved results than for the others. And after a few years, when the guy gained a lot of weight, people started asking him for training tips, because everyone realized the fact that this guy is in exactly the same conditions as the others. He eats the same food, he is in the same cell as everyone else, he has the same recovery time as everyone else, and yet he is getting better and better from the month to month. By the way, this is what Ferguson's body looked like after his parole. 8 months before his release, he decided to write a few pages of text for his cellmates, kind of like a training guide. Soon the first page was followed by a second page, and the guy realized he had something something to say and wrote a whole book. Now you can easily find him on Instagram. His profile is called Life After 10. His life story was shown on Netflix, and 5 years ago he added photos of his renewed form, which looked incredible. All this is absolutely natural according to his words, and the result is impeccable discipline and a lot of daily work on himself. The prisoners trained in a very basic way. I won't tell you anything new if I mention such exercises as push-ups from the floor, squats, various triceps extensions, handstand push-ups, twist for abs, and other basic movements that anyone can do no matter where you are. But now I propose you to analyze those aspects that directly influenced the progress and made the prisoners grow even in such conditions. The first aspect is competitive interest. For fun, prisoners could do push-ups, squats on one leg, and use various complicated forms of push-ups, which lead to the important principle of progression of loads. They also often use each other's as a weights, and even here, with the gaining of enough strength, it was possible to sit on the back of the one who was heavier, and since the load of human weight, unlike barbells and dumbbells, tends to be spread unevenly, the stabilizer muscles were also at work. The second principle of progression is focus and involvement in the process. It is no secret that 90% of visitors of modern gyms are just spectators, who very often do not have any goals and go just for company. Some entrepreneurs use expensive fitness clubs as a networking tool. The inmates, on the other hand, work out for results and have the understandable goal to become stronger and much powerful visually. Such focus and absence of time limit for training allows you to train much more and more productively than most people do. And such a factor as overtraining is also nothing more than a myth, because the body itself will tell you when it has had enough, as well as easily adapt to 5, 6 and sometimes even 7 days regime. Many of calisthenics athletes I have reviewed do not follow any dietary regime and train intuitively 5, 6 times a week, and it does not prevent them from look great. In some jails, inmates have been able to sneak pharmaceuticals. Kelly Muscle is a case in point. Just recently, he finally admitted to its use, although it was obvious to everyone who understands bodybuilding and natural physique. Of course, all these extreme strength records in the form of 50 pull-ups on one arm are nothing more than a myth, which was spread on the internet in order to give importance to the person of Paul Wade. By the way, it is not even his real name. The same rumors were spread by many famous prisoners, including Charles Bronson, about whom books were written, movies were filmed, and who, according to legends, almost bent steel bars with his bare hands. But reality and cinema are unfortunately too far apart, and the only thing we can trust is the stories of real and currently living people like Ryan Ferguson. The conclusion from this episode for me personally is the fact that the main factor influencing any achievements is banal hard work, and in prison it is clearly demonstrated. Otherwise, how to explain the fact that in the same conditions someone achieved results and someone just flaps his tongue and endlessly asks, "How did you achieve this? Teach me." Or "What is the secret?" Or maybe he's just lucky and has a good genetics. But the main secret is that only those who work are lucky, and the more they work, the luckier they get. If you also want to train with a trainer and not just hang on a bar like a sausage making movements for the sake of movements, we offer you to join our project with a clear system of training developed by a team of 9 professional athletes, which has already passed through 3,000 participants. We receive results every week, both from participants over 40 years old and people with completely different archetypes, from thin to overweight people. There are no limits in workout. Absolutely anyone can train, and we will prove it to you. Link will be in the description. And also watch this video if you want to learn how to pull up. See ya!